Hey, I don't know about you, but I can feel so scattered sometimes between the pinball machine of thoughts bouncing around my mind, not to mention all the notifications, my very loud children, and the ongoing demands coming at me all day, every day. The days can feel overwhelming. That's exactly why I created my brand new Start Your Day Planner. This planner helps you start each day clear, confident, and in control. This simple 5-minute morning routine gives you easy prompts that give context, clarity, and focus to your day so you know exactly what to focus on and you finally feel good about how you spend your time. And I'm so excited to let you know that the physical hard copy of the Start Your Day Planner is now available. You can head over to startyourdayplanner.com to get your copy. And if you want to check it out before you buy it, you can even download a free digital sample of the Start Your Day Planner. You can see the inside. Go ahead, get started on the system and try it out for yourself. Head over to startyourdayplanner.com and get ready to start your days in a whole new way. That's startyourdayplanner.com. Hey everyone, and welcome to Get Your Hopes Up. I'm Christy Wright, and I'm so glad you're here. Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by power of the Holy Spirit." Our God is the God of hope, and he wants you to overflow with hope. So let's start our week by getting our hopes up again. Now, today we are talking about how to bring your kids with you into your faith journey. How do you invite your kids into your faith? How do you live out your faith in your real life where your kids can see it and not just see it, but experience it and be a part of it? You know, a few years ago, my husband and I had this idea to build a really cool custom playhouse in our bonus room for our kids as a big surprise for Christmas. Now, because they love the bonus room and we use it a lot in the winter, this was no small feat to pull off, y'all. We had to block the door, keep them out, and make sure we had childcare while we were up there working on it all hours of the night, in the evenings, on the weekend for weeks. What spurred this idea in me was this weird closet that's like halfway up the wall. I don't exactly know what they were thinking when they built the house, but I guess they just wanted to use the extra space. And I thought, you know what we could do? We could take that closet, which is super weird and an eyesore, and we never use anyway. That's about 3 feet off the ground. And we could open that hole up and make it like a second story of a playhouse and then build off of it and build this really cool playhouse that our kids could play in. Well, I dreamt it. I drew it. My husband designed it in his computer program, and then we decided to build it. Well, after weeks of blood, sweat, and tears and building and painting and drawing and all the things, this thing was done on Christmas Eve night. And y'all, it was a dream. It was beautiful. It was perfect. It was amazing. I loved it. It was exactly what I wanted. Well, the next day, our kids, of course, came in and we surprised them. They were so excited. They played on it and they loved it and so on. They definitely appreciated it. But later that day, my son said something so crazy to me. He said, "Where'd you buy it?" And I said, "What?" He said, "Where'd you buy this playhouse?" I said, "We didn't buy this playhouse, Carter. We built it." He goes, "You did?" I said, "Yes. How do you think we got this giant thing here?" He said, "I don't know. I thought you just put it in the back of Pop's truck." I said, "No, what do you think we've been doing up here for the last 3 weeks with our hammers and our saws and our noise?" He said, "I don't know." Carter thought that we bought that playhouse. Now, why did he think that? He thought that because he didn't see the work that went into it. He didn't see the work happen. He didn't see the boards and the nails and the painting and the building and the structure and the panels and all of the layers of difficulty and design and work that went into it. It just appeared one day. He didn't appreciate it as much or have any concept of what all went into that, what a big deal it was. And what's interesting is, I think we do this a lot with our kids, especially when it comes to our faith. See, we don't want our kids to see us worry. We don't want them to see us cry or be scared. We don't want them to worry. We don't want them to cry. We don't want them to be scared. So we show them the prayers that God answered only after they're answered. See, we show them the miracle after the miracle's occurred. We point to the promise being fulfilled after the promise is fulfilled. We think somehow that we need to protect them from disappointment with God or insulate them from the risk in the journey with Him. But when we do, y'all, we rob them of building their faith and appreciating the outcome. You can actually bring your kids into the faith walk before you know how it's going to turn out. You can bring them into the risk, the uncertainty, the doubt, the fear, the tears. You can bring them into all of that every step of the way. And I think what you'll find is when you bring them in early and you let them see every stage of development of this journey with the Lord, then they appreciate the outcome so much more. So how do you do that? How do you bring your kids into the faith journey? What does that look like practically and tactically? I want to give you 4 things that we do really specifically and very intentionally in our house to do this. Number 1, tell them what you're praying for. When you're praying for something, whether it is a new house, a new job, or a location for your school, or a new calling, or whatever, something big like that, or something tiny like you need a parking spot at Target. Tell them. Tell them what you're praying for. Don't just pray in your head. Tell them what you're praying for. Tell them what you want them to pray for. Tell them what you're asking God for. Tell them what you need, what you want, what you're believing God for. You know, when I very first started believing God was leading us to move, I told my kids. We would go drive over through the neighborhood and we would pray. I would tell them what I believed God had said. And of course, since then, as you can imagine, they have asked, Mom, when is God ever going to answer that prayer? I said, great question, Lord. Lord, are you listening to your children? Are you ever going to answer that prayer? I said, you know what, buddy? Sometimes God just takes a really long time. But I know He's spoken, and I know He's faithful, and I know He's going to fulfill that promise. Other things they have seen me pray for, like when I was praying for something so silly and practical, like the EIN for the school I'm creating, and I had this major hurdle with the IRS. And I was praying and fasting and believing that God would break down this barrier. And I told my kids, I'm praying for a certain thing I need from the government to make this school happen. I'm praying for this thing. And then when I got it, I told them, God answered our prayer. God answered our prayer. Several weeks ago, I was booked to speak at an event, and it was a really difficult event to get to. And everyone in my house got sick the week before this event. And they didn't just get sick with a sniffly nose, they got sick with a stomach bug, something that you can't really just rally and go to work anyway with. And y'all, I was so nervous I was going to get sick leading up to that event before I had to fly and be on stage, which you just don't want to be in that situation. And I said, we have got to pray that Mommy does not get sick. I'm taking care of you guys, but I cannot get sick. And we all prayed that I wouldn't get sick. And I didn't get sick. And then we all praised God that I didn't get sick and I got to go to my speaking event and I felt great. See, when you tell your kids what you're praying for, whether it is a sickness or a house or a parking spot or whatever, when you tell them what you are praying for as the adult, it models faith for them instead of just telling them that they can pray. Instead of just telling them to pray, instead of just telling them that they can bring God anything, you're showing them that you do too. And then when those prayers are answered, tell them how God answered them. Help them look for His answers to prayers, your prayers and their prayers. When my daughter and I were praying that we would find her shaky bear, and then we found her shaky bear, we started screaming and rejoicing. We praised God. God answered our prayer. One day we were looking for muffins and my daughter said, we need to stop and pray and ask God to show us where the muffins are. And we prayed and we found the muffins and we praised God. He answered the prayer for the muffins. Don't just tell your kids to pray. Don't just pray before meals or before bed that everyone is safe and everyone has a good day. Pray specific prayers and tell your kids what you're praying for to model this for them and invite them into your faith journey. As they experience this and as they partner with you in this, you are building their faith muscles. They can then learn how to bring God anything, and they actually will. They will begin to pray those prayers on their own because they've learned how to do it through experience. So number 1, tell them what you're praying for. Number 2, let them see you sad. Let them see you sad. Several weeks ago, I had to sit down at my computer and send an email that I did not want to send. It was an email I had been dreading and avoiding and ignoring for months, but I knew I had to send it. The email was to the administrators at the school that my son Conley has been at for the last 3 years, a school that I absolutely adore. I love this school. I love the teachers. I love the philosophy. I love the values, the culture. I love everything about it. And I also know we're done. I've known that we're done since October. But I'd always had in the back of my mind, if I change my mind or if God changes his plans or this school thing that I'm building falls through, we could always go back. I haven't really pulled out yet, but I knew I needed to. I knew I needed to let them know officially we were not going to return next year. So I sat down, I wrote the email, and I cried so much. It was one evening, in fact, where I had seen 2 of the directors at the park, and it was like the Lord was putting it in my face. You've got to do this. You've got to pull the Band-Aid off. You've got to tell them. So that night I came home, I sat down on my computer, and I wrote the email. Well, because this was really emotional for me and very sad, I cried a lot. And everything in me wanted to dry my tears before I walked out of my office. My family was sitting at the table getting ready to eat, and I was going out there to join them, and I wanted to just pull it together. Everything in me as the mom that wants to protect my kids from any kind of hurt or worry or disappointment or anything, wanted to wipe my tears and clear my face and clear my throat and walk out there and pretend like everything was fine. And then I changed my mind. I decided not to. I walked out of my office to the table with tear-streaked cheeks and red eyes. And I said, I want to tell y'all something. I said, I'm really sad right now. And when I was sitting in my office feeling really sad, I thought about just drying my tears and coming out and pretending like it's okay. But I actually want you to see me sad. And can I tell you why? They said, why? I said, because I want you to know that even when God asks you to do hard things, it doesn't mean it's wrong. God has asked us to do a hard thing. He has asked us to leave this school that we love. It's really hard. I just sat in there and I wrote an email to the teachers and the leaders to let them know how much we have appreciated this school, but we won't be back. That was a really hard email to write, and I'm really sad. But you know what else? I know that it's right. I know that it's right. I know in my heart, I know in my spirit, I know in my soul, this is the right decision and where God is leading us. And so I just wanted to tell you, I'm really sad, and this is right. Sometimes God will ask you to do something that makes you sad, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. You didn't hear him wrong. It's only because he has good things for you next, but it doesn't mean that the thing you have to do isn't hard. It is hard, but just because it's hard doesn't mean that it's bad. God will ask you to do hard things, and you can be sad and still do them anyway. I feel like this was an important teaching moment for my kids. I let them see me struggle through obedience. I let them see me sad and crying and walk out my faith anyway. That's what faith looks like. It doesn't just look like, oh, we're so happy in October and man, this is so wonderful homeschooling. And remember how hard it was to leave Curry, but it's a past tense, it's a memory, and they don't feel anything. Let them feel it with you. Let them feel the tension, the pain, the disappointment, the sadness, the tears. Let them feel what that feels like, because let me tell you something, friend, they will face those experiences in their walk with the Lord. And if they've only ever seen you happy, then when they feel tears, they will question if they are doing something wrong. When their decisions are hard, they will question if they heard God right. Maybe God doesn't ask us to do hard things. I only ever saw my mom happy. I only ever saw my dad confident. Maybe I'm not supposed to do this hard thing. Let them see you sad. Let them see you struggle and persevere. Let them see you feel human emotions of pain or sadness or difficulty or tension, but you choose the spirit over the flesh, that you walk it out anyway. Let them see you do that. Let them feel it with you. If you want to bring your kids on the faith journey, don't just show them the happy ending. Let them feel the experience along the way, because I guarantee you, experiencing that with you along the way will prepare them for when they are in their own journey with the Lord. Number 3, bring them into your work. Bring them into your work. Whatever type of work that you do, they need to see your work. They need to help you with your work. They need to be a part of your work. Not long ago, my son Carter was praying before dinner, and it was really sweet. He was praying, and so he prayed for all the kids and prayed that they would have a good day at school tomorrow. And then he prayed for Dad. I pray for Dad, Lord. I just pray he has a good day at work tomorrow. And then he continued, and I pray for Mom, cleaning and, just working that computer. Yo, it was the pause that got me. It was the pause, the just racking his sweet 10-year-old brain trying to think of one thing that Mom does in a day. Bless it. Do I need to sit you down with a pen and paper, son, and make a list of what I have done today? Because I will do it. They just don't see what we do. They take it for granted like all kids do, but they don't know what we do so often. They don't understand what we do. So whatever you do, they need to be brought into it. Often I will invite Carter to help me with my book signings or packing boxes, or I've taken him to speaking events before and he gets to see me on stage and he helps run my book table. When all of my girlfriends got together and pulled off this Easter basket miracle for Covenant School years ago after the Covenant shooting, Carter came and helped us organize the basket. Bring them into the thing that God has assigned you to do so they get to see your assignment. They get to see what it looks like for someone to be faithful to their assignment. It also helps them understand and appreciate work in general and specifically your work. Clearly, I could do a better job because there was a long pause when I got prayed for the other day, y'all. I need to do a better job of this myself. This also models work for them and invites them into it in a way that makes them feel grown up and special. Invite them into your work. Bring them into your work. Let them see what you do, get their hands in what you do, understand what you do. Let them be a part of it because your work is a part of your faith journey. And they need to see and experience what that looks like and feels like lived out in real life. Work is not a separate thing from God. God is in your work because he is in you and you are in your work, and God brought you to your work. So you better bring your kids into that part of your faith journey as well. And then lastly, number 4, point out spiritual gifts in them. When you see them say something prophetic, or you see a spiritual gift, or you see something that you know God is in, point it out. Point it out. Call it out in them. Carter has a gift of prophecy and he doesn't even know it. And he has said things before that are absolutely prophetic. He is very good at identifying signs. He will point something out that is absolutely prophetic. And when he does, I will call out in him what he has said and why it's prophetic and why it's profound and how God is using it and what it means. Carter does this all the time. Conley is so bold and confident. It's amazing. I have heard him say to other people when we're just maybe at a restaurant and he's talking to someone at the table next to him and say, well, my mom's building a school. I'm going to my mom's school next year. He's so bold. He's so confident. Mary Grace came down one day and I shared this story recently where I had been praying that morning saying, God, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And I came downstairs and she walked up to me. She said, you have to build the school first. That's what you do first. You have to build the school. And I said, baby, what are you saying? And she said, in the book, they build the school first. And I said, I want to tell you what you just said because I was upstairs praying, asking God what I'm supposed to do. And then you looked at me and said, build the school. God just spoke through you, baby girl. He just spoke through you. Call it out. Call out what you see in them. Do not laugh it off. Do not dismiss it. Your children are anointed and called and set apart for the kingdom. So start telling them that. Start telling them what you see. Point these things out in them. And when you do, they will get good at recognizing these things in themselves. Listen, y'all, discipleship isn't just for the church, and it's not just through words. This is done in your home by modeling and through experiences you invite your kids into. When you do this, watch how their faith grows, but watch how it also grows your faith as well. All right, y'all, that's it for this week's episode of Get Your Hopes Up. I love hanging out with you every Monday to help you get to know God, get closer to Him, and get your hopes up again. Be sure to share this episode on Instagram and Facebook so other people can get their hopes up as well. And then I'll see you next Monday for another new episode of Get Your Hopes Up.